Hello and welcome to Excel Essentials. In this session, we'll be covering the relatively new translate formula. Now, the translate function is a function which allows you to translate text from one language into another in Excel by using and leveraging the Microsoft Translation services. Now, as you can see here, we've got the syntax of the formula. And the formula has three parameters. You have your text, which you input or you select from a cell. Then you have the source language, so the language that the text is written in. So for example, you could say it's English, Spanish, French, Italian, Portuguese, German, the list goes on and on. And then you have your target language, the language that you want it to translate your text into. And we're going to run through this formula today. Let's run through what some of these codes are. Now, there's a Microsoft Learn website, which I will paste the link somewhere, probably in the description. But I've also imported it into Excel so we can have a look at it. And as you can see, we're going to be focusing on this column B, language code. And here we can see language codes, so Dutch is NL, English EN, French FR, French Canada FRCA. And you can see these as we go down the list. They're pretty common language codes that we may see from everywhere else in daily life. So these are going to be really useful for what we're translating our text into. So if we go back to this translate tab, you can see we have some actions and we have a column for us to do our translations into. Now you can either reference the cell or you can actually put your text in the formula directly. I will show you both today. So let's start off with putting a cell reference in. So we're going to do equals translate, and then we're going to select our text in our actions column, and then we're going to do a comma, and here I'm going to do English. So as you can see, it's got a list here already that comes up. You can either click on it by double clicking, or what you can do is you can type it in the brackets. So we've selected English as our language for what the text is. If you leave this part of the formula blank, then it will try to guess what the source language is, so the language you're translating from. But I prefer to put this in just so that we get a correct translation, or as close a correct translation as possible. And then we're going to do a comma, and then I'm going to translate it into French, for example. And I'm going to close the bracket there and hit enter. Now, as you see, it went into busy, and then it's translated this by using the online services. And as you can see, we've now got I go shopping every Saturday in French as je fais mes courses tous les samedis, for example. So it's translated the text from English into French. Now we could change the French bit to another language, so I could do Portuguese, for example, and it would translate into Portuguese. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put text directly into the formula. Now if you have a keyboard that is installed on your laptop or device that is for another language, then I would suggest you change into that so you can get all the special characters there may be in those languages. I am just going to do this translate formula, and I'm going to write a small phrase or sentence in Polish, and then we're going to get it to translate into English. So the text that we're going to put in, for example, is jestem dobrze, which is I'm fine. We're going to go for the source language, which is Polish, and then we're going to select English, for example, and then we're going to close that, and as we see, it translates into I'm fine. Now I could translate it into Italian, where it translates into sto bene. We could even translate it into Spanish, and then it returns estoy bien. So it can translate anything, and it just leverages the Microsoft translation services to translate the text, kind of like going to Google Translate and then translating your text in there from English to whatever language, or whatever language into English. There's lots of different languages which are supported, and you can have a look at all the languages that's supported on that Microsoft Fluent article. I've just imported it using Power Query into Excel for ease of use and visibility on screen. But if you do go to the website, you can have a look under this translation section in language support. If you expand that table, you can see all the same list of languages which are supported and where they are supported in various different things across Azure and the Microsoft services. But for the purpose of the translate formula, this is where it is most useful and most accessible. So if you go to that link, which is on screen or link in description, then you should be able to see all these different codes that you can translate to and from. Stay tuned for more Excel Essentials.